Welcome back to the Who Do You Like Here podcast. Joey Cino with me as always is the kid. Happy New Year, everybody. First episode for 2025. Kid, how's the year starting off for you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Not too bad.
Yeah, actually a little better than good for you because you won the 16-man fantasy football league this year. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. First time on that one.
Yeah, that's a tough league to win, 16 teams.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are in 8-man, 10-man, 12-man teams. You know, you get 16, it's really tough. Players are really slim when you get to mid-round. So good job overall on that. So
thank you.
You've had some good winning ways on your parlays.
Winning.
Football prop bets. That's been going solid. So so far 2025 starting off pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good start. I think I was like end of 2024 into 2025, but I'll count it as it.
It's a couple weeks in.
Yeah.
4 out of 5 last week.
Yeah, pretty much on par. We didn't have IRAD, which
I didn't like him on Jerry the Nipper.
I didn't at all.
I was very surprised at the Fly to W did absolutely nothing, but we kind of talked about that. Surface change. I don't like him on the synthetic. But anyways, didn't get that leg. Did cash that last leg though, so that's always nice when you have your top pick, which we really liked. We both did. I had the top pick, but the 11, like when you can catch a nice try at the end of the day, kind of recoup some of the loss, lick the wounds off the 4 out of 5. But nonetheless, right there, I got to tell you, I looked this week, handicapping and looking because we don't look at the morning lines, but looked at the morning line today. I'm chalk all the way through.
Oh,
I
really?
literally am chalk. Raise.
Yeah, I haven't looked at all on the morning line odds or anything, but I guess we'll see.
Well, it's very rare we do the podcast on a Saturday morning. A couple times I think we've gone through and done it on a Saturday morning on the day of. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that, kind of look at certain things, weather or whatever the case may be. And today, just to be able to look at the odds and maybe get the early scratches here before long. But yeah, every single race in the pick 5. Chalk, and chalk. So I think I have the favorite on top every single leg. So I think the odds maker has it right. Whoever's doing the morning line, in my opinion, I think they have it right. So what else you got going on before we get into handicapping?
Trying to think. Not much. Just withering away the days.
This is what we don't do Saturday mornings.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person.
Yeah,
at all.
We need to get you fired up and loaded on a Thursday after work, dealing with emails and bullshit and customers. Hour drive, like really get you in the mood.
And I need to wake up, and it usually takes about a few hours for me to wake up. So
should have got up a couple hours ago
then. No, I went to bed late. So.
All right, so it's going to be that kind of podcast today.
It's going to be that kind of podcast. I'm just out here to pick winners and then go on my merry way.
Well, I'm not mad at that either. If we can string along some winners, maybe whatever it takes to cash some tickets here. Obviously, you did your handicap and prior here, so you're not coming in with half sleepy eyes trying to read the form this morning. So we can get right into it.
Still sleepy. My eyes are definitely still sleepy, but I did do my handicapping prior.
We can definitely get into the handicapping portion and just jump right into it so we can get the Saturday morning going. We're going to start off here. So we're going to go back to Gulfstream, right? But I predominantly think we'll probably be there for most of it. Some big races. Pegasus coming up, Pegasus weekend. It'll be almost a year since we were there last year in January. Creeping up on that. And I can't see us changing Gulfstream unless we're going over there for some other main big stakes race or anything else that's coming up. So I would say we're probably going to be at Gulfstream for quite some time. However, I will say that the fairgrounds meet and the Oaklawn meets that are going on right now are actually there's quite some nice payouts at those tracks. If I had an option, I would probably I like Gulfstream. I always like Gulfstream. It's kind of like speed bias. Usually we've talked about that. Price wise though, and the way I'm looking at the track today, like lots of chalks. You got to find prices to make it worthwhile. There are some that I like in the race. I'm sure there's going to be some that you like in the races to make the exacts and the tries kind of pan out. But I think if you're really looking for bomb prices and kind of anything can happen, anything goes, that you want to shift focus over to Oaklawn and Fairgrounds and try to or Turfway at night and try to make your make your bones that way. But we're going to be at Gulfstream probably handicapping, like I said, for the rest of this championship meet or most of it. We're going to start the seventh race. Seventh race is a mile and 70 yards on the Tapeta, all weather. It's claiming. We're going to start out with a claiming of 10,000 and a purse of 25,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. So this is just really odd. The whole sequence is kind of odd on how the races are set up. We had it with two graded stakes races as well. But we'll just jump right in here. Like I said before, I'm gonna be chalky all day long, so I'm just gonna give you the favorites on top. That's gonna be Mobu, the number 5 here for Edwin Gonzalez and Sandino Hernandez. Last 2 times out on the synthetic, both at the same class level at 10,000, a mile and 70, and a mile 16th. You got a 5th by 2, and then a winner by a neck. Last time with Gonzalez on, so looking for back-to-back wins here for this horse. Forwardly placed, which is what you want to see. Horse has quite a bit of speed, 2 nice speed figures of 82 and 83, first time on the surface here after the break from being over in Del Mar. And the workouts are decent, and it does figure to be the favorite. And I mean, out of this bunch, that's who I like the best. I do like the and not in any particular order when we're given the underneaths here, but I think the 6 Honesto, since they did the tactic change with this horse, has been able to be a little more, it can be a little more consistent in being at or near the front. Now, hasn't raced since November 23rd. The workouts recently, December 13th at Gulfstream, 5 furlongs and 4 fits. And then another gate work. So they're trying to get this horse back to breaking well. You got to go back to August where it wired the field. And then, more recently has been like more catching up. So a gate work, maybe to get this horse a little freshened up, get out the gate a little sooner, makes a lot of sense. It's when the horse runs its best races. So if they do that, the horse breaks well. Last time out against, two back against state breds. I think that's what they're trying to do is just get this horse a little more gate work to get it out. If it gets out well, it has a chance. If it blows the break, it lessens its chances. So that's what they've been working on. It makes sense. Figures to be in the mix at some point on the ticket. I also like the 9 horse. If we're looking at pricing, maybe the next 2 are going to give you some price here, but Mailman Money, John Velasquez for Kelly Breen. This is just one that likes to sit a tactical trip. Going to be forwardly placed as well. Hasn't been on the synthetic since January of last year, 2024, and that was a closing move at Gulfstream, stalking trip. Kind of looking for the same thing for Johnny B on that horse. And then the 12. This is your price, the doorman, Luca Panici for Kathleen O'Connell. Last 3 starts, the surface change is actually making the difference here. A lot of turf races that they were running at Gulfstream Park and just staying consistently third, and just a little better. Speed figures are overall better when running on the synthetic. I think it's just the surface preference for the horse. The class matches, and I think should break well. So I'm going to add the 12 on there for the ticket to wrap up the try or any of the exotics. So going to go, like I said, chalky on top, 5 of the 6, 9, 12.
Well, you talked about all 3 of my horses, which means we're very much well aligned. I
like
have
that.
the 6 on top on Esto, like you said. You have them underneath. I've got them on top. I think, like you mentioned, the tactic change, right? So they found the winner's circle with the RMU aboard back in August, where they went gate to wire. I think that's exactly what they want to do now. They want to go and take the lead. They don't want to look back. You can see that in the workouts, right? They're just firing this horse every single time they go out. So they want to make sure that they have a consistent game plan. This horse is running some pretty insane workouts. If you take a look at it, I mean, a 46-4, 34-3, 47s across the board on a consistent basis. So this horse can definitely get out. They can definitely break. And you get the best jockey at Gulfstream right now aboard to put him in the right position. So yeah, they didn't get the job done last time out at a similar condition, but I think if they break out on top, maybe they see a different result because, this horse was obviously 9 lengths off to start the race and finished, 3 1/4 off. So I think speed is going to be the factor here, and I think Irad's going to do that. So I like the 6 on top. I have your 5 as well. I thought the 5 was also very logical here. Another horse that's going to sit stalking, in this field. Not necessarily going to be the speed, but will sit there, wait patiently, try to let them burn out at the top, and then make their move down the stretch like they did last time. They sat a length off. Very patient ride by Edwin. And was able to pull down the stretch. And I think it's very interesting, right? They go back to back all weather. Yeah, they got a 5th place, but they only lost by 2.5 prior to that. So I think the all weather definitely shows that it's preferred surface, because if you jump all the way back to when it was racing at Golden Gate, this horse was very consistent and hitting the board at a pretty good clip. So
Mhm.
definitely the preferred surface, definitely the condition you want to see. Definitely not afraid of what the distance is, because this is what this horse does. It's kind of a distance specialist as well. So the 5 makes a ton of sense, makes a lot of sense there, and I'll definitely have it on my picks. And then I also have the 9, Mailman Money with Johnny V and Kelly Breen. I think, again, this horse may have not shown anything in the last couple of races, but they've tried to make this horse a turf horse as much as they could. I think they're finally realizing that it's just not going to happen for this horse. This horse broke its maiden on the all weather, and I think going back to the all weather and the condition and the distance here, while dropping down in class, is going to actually help improve with this horse. Kelly Breen has definitely got some stats that prove that as well. Dropping down the class and getting some relief in that aspect. But first time back on the all weather since breaking your maiden with Johnny V aboard definitely makes sense to me. And I think that they're going to be sitting very patient as well. I don't necessarily think that the changes are going to let this horse necessarily win. But I think they're going to be very competitive, and they're going to be right there down the stretch. So, yeah, for those reasons, I've got the 9 underneath as well. So 6 with the 5-9.
Pretty consistent on that. I could agree with you more. I think it's a coin toss with the 5 and the 6. I give the 5 the slight edge here, but it's a pretty aligned race. I don't know how much money you're going to make in this race. It's a shorter field than what you typically would see, or you would think you would see on a Tapeta, a mile and 70. But still, I think starting out, if you're doing your horizontal pick, I think you can really start to narrow these down too. It's probably not going to pay much this week in my eyes, but we'll keep going through them. We'll see how everybody else feels about it.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the 8th race. 8th race is going to be 6.5 furlongs. It's a maiden, 50,000. This is for state breds, 3-year-olds, purse of $50,000. So if I had to pick a race, I guess, where I would really say, like, this is my lock of the day, or this is like the one I'm most confident, it's probably going to be this race, just for the simple reason that Just Relax, who's going to be your odds-on favorite for Irad and Jose D'Angelo. This horse is probably the classiest out of everybody that's in here, and the horse that he's raced against the last 2 times, rated by merit, is probably one of the best horses you're going to see. Undefeated at his age, has won multiple races at Gulfstream Park, winning the Reality Stakes, the Affirm Stakes, the Dr. Fager. All those with buyer figures of 108, 98, 92, 96. So losing in the losing cause for Just Relax, in losing both those races, 15 lengths to that horse last time out in a mile and 16th, first time going a route, and 14 lengths prior to that at a 6 furlong race. That was the Dr. Fager. So the In Reality and the Dr. Fager, this horse Just Relax is running in both of those, just goes up against a monster. And the odds reflected that Just Relax probably, was outclassed at the time after just breaking its maiden for 5 furlongs in a sloppy condition on the dirt. So, I think it's 2 valiant efforts from 13 and 14 lengths off on a horse that's just dominant right now for its age in the class that it's running. So I'm going to give it to, and then we're getting first-time Lasix, which a lot of these are getting first-time Lasix. I get that. They're lightly raced horses or first-time starters, but I think this is the opportunity where this 8 actually is going to go ahead and get the win it deserves. It's been struggling hard for Jose D'Angelo. The workouts are great. The horse is fantastic. It's just going up against the beast every time it tries to run. And there's a few others that have ran against it too. And I mean, if you look at, I don't like the 7, but if you look at the 7 Oleg in the In Reality, 19 lengths off in that race, finishing 7th. So if you could take, the winner out of the equation and the multiple lengths that it won by, these races would become and look a little similar, tighter for those non-graded stakes races. But nonetheless, I'm going to take the 8 on top. It's the favorite, like I said. should be. It warrants to be against the class that's been running. I like the 9. He's a beast. That's Joe Bravo. Workouts have been fantastic. I really like the December 7th, the December 21st, and the December 28th. 3 really strong workouts coming in. You've got the Dam has number 1 was a stake winner, 6 starters, 5 winners, and 1 stakes winner out of that. I think that's bodes very well from the breeding perspective. First time starters also high percentage of 17 and 11 from the sire and the Dam. So I want to have He's a Beast out of the Big Beast in there on my exactas and in my tries. And then I'm going to get cute and going to use Flood Zone with Ray Lou Gutierrez. First time out, 78 speed figure. And I mean, you're talking second, just missing off by 3/4 of a length. But 78 speed figure, I always look for an improve. That was at 45,000 against state bred, so I do like that. And then the 6 Caracas, this is Jose Ortiz from Brian Lynch. Just nice, steady workout. It's a good horse. They paid a decent amount for it. Looks fit, should run well. Again, this is another one with an unraced Dam that has 4 starters with 4 winners. So good consistency on that. We'll see how Caracas does as well. But to me, it's got to be the 8 on top. The 9 makes a lot of sense. And then the 6 and the 4 also underneath. So 9, 8, 9, 6, 4.
Yeah, I had the 8 as well. We're very much aligned here in the first 2 legs. I think, like you said, the 8 just makes the most sense. They're adding the Lasix here today. Yeah, they lost by 15 lengths, but obviously it ran a pretty impressive race. I mean, beat the odds of what I think everybody thought this horse was capable of. Dropping in class, you're getting quite a bit of class relief here, running against these ones here on Saturday. So I think that, this horse was tested early. They had high hopes. Now they just want to get a win in the win column, and, then they'll go back to, putting this horse where it needs to be. So, I think the 8 should win easy here. I'm pretty confident in this one as well. But you never know. So underneath, I've got a couple of horses. I do have the 9 as well. I think the 9 from a first-time starter, Angle is looking pretty good. The Dam has some very promising stats. David Fox also has some very good stats with first-time starters. The short distance and the breeding here, I think, is just all playing in their hand. Very consistent workouts going into the race. This is also a race that I feel like Joe Bravo is being very sneaky on, and could pull away and win. I wanted to go with the first time starter, but I just think that the 8 makes too much sense and it just looks too good on paper. So I guess we'll see. The last horse I had underneath is the 7, the one you kind of talked about and touched on a little bit. I'm always trying to find an angle. I know that, whenever Javier is riding and Jenna Antonucci, obviously the success they had, with Mage and all of that, and, ensued with that. I think they definitely try to, stay linked up, and try to, they try to link up as much as they can, in terms of, connecting in the Gulfstream meet. And I definitely think that, him taking a mount here on the 7 Oleg is definitely going to be, kind of at least for me, a little bit of a hint that this horse might just have a little bit more. Yeah, they finished seventh by 19 lengths, but again, ran against a monster in the same race that the 8 did. High hopes for this horse, but they're getting some drop in class. Same thing like the 8. They're going back to a sprint where I think this horse might be a little bit better. You can see on a sloppy track, they went 6.5 at Gulfstream and finished second by a neck, so almost won the race. So the condition looks good. And then, the best speed, figures amongst these starters today. So they've got a lot of things playing in their favor, getting the Lasix for the first time. So trying a lot of different things. Jorge Delgado definitely trains the speed into his horses and likes to be on the front end. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sent this horse and tried to steal it. The question is, are they going to be able to hold on, I think, in my opinion. So I like the 7 here as well. I think that they have a really good opportunity as well. And, so I'm going to go with 8 with the 9 and the 7 underneath.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Jen Antonucci. She has the 1 horse with Jorge Ruiz, Mahavlich.
Yeah.
In this race, 2 really decent workouts. Not the greatest first time out at 45,000 state bred last time out, 63 speed figure. It's not the best speed figure. Was damn near the odds on favorite coming into that race. So it wasn't the beaten favorite, but it was close to being the favorite in that race. So you're not getting the little asterisk there. But ran against a couple others, came in fourth by 10 lengths in that race. And I think the two also for Kelly Breen and Edgar Zayas, attention to detail, also coming off a very nice bullet workout. Both of those getting Lasix first time and also coming from state bred 45,000. Maiden race last time out. So kind of a tough race underneath. 8 seems to be the dominant horse. We're both in agreement on that, but I think there is some opportunity for some prices underneath. I think you really got to look at the tote board and see where the money's not at, because a lot of these horses are pretty equal throughout. As if you're comparing, they're very, very close. The ones we gave, I think, are just the ones we like the best, but the rest of the field is pretty tight, pretty close.
And I also said Mage, but it's Archangelo, not Mage.
Yeah, Archangelo. I knew what you meant. I was going to catch up with the flow.
I've got the morning brain working. So
yeah, that's okay. Just not enough coffee in you yet. Like I said, you need to get fired up.
I was like, when my brain short circuited when I said that, and I was trying to think. I was like, wait, it's not Mage. And then I was trying to go through the Rolodex, but that's all right.
Well, at least you made the correction.
Yeah.
Let's go to the ninth race. Ninth race, a mile on the turf. Optional claiming 25,000 condition, a person 96,000. For 4-year-olds and upwards, which have never won 20,000 other than maiden claiming starter or restricted, or which have never won 2 races or claiming price of 25,000. Rail is at 24 feet. You know, when the rail's on at 24 feet, I always like to go with the speed. Anytime it's extended out, I always just think it's an advantage. It always works well on a track that's a little more on the closing side for turf at Gulfstream. It just helps out people who can go out there, go to the front and wheel and maybe hang on. Just seems to bode well for them. I'm going to go with the 3. And 3 makes a lot of sense. We're actually getting some cutback in distance for this horse, going from a mile and 16th, a mile and 1/8, down to the mile. And he's just been missing in the last handful of races. You got allowance 25,000 2 times, and then you've got the Virginia Derby. It's kind of sandwiched there in the middle with the 83 speed figure. The horse is not running bad. It's really not bad races. Is very stalking trip, sitting second every time. One last time out in a mile and 16 for allowance 25,000. Now you're in an optional claiming 25,000 condition because the horse fits these conditions. But overall, jockey trainer connection with Crichton and Saez, 100%, 2 for 2, very small sample size here. So I like the cutback in distance. I like the horses running in the form I like to see for on the grass. The rail's extended, so I do want to see forward place. So the 3 makes all the sense for me, but it's a really tight race. But I am going to go with the chalk in this case. The rest of my underneaths in no particular order. Thornberry, the 1. Listen, it's 6 times out for it to try to break its maiden. Finally breaks its maiden at 170,000. Was it 85? Was it 70? Was it 89? Was it 100? They just keep moving it up in class in these maiden races, and then it finally broke its maiden. Every single race this horse has been up against has been 10, 12 horse fields. Never a 5 horse or 6 horse field. So only knows the crowded path to get through, and was consistently there third, had the lead at times, was very, in the mix, except for its first early races where it was running on dirt and kind of figuring out its way at the end of 2023. So I just like the way the condition is. You got Dylan Davis, who's hungry, coming down there, looking to make his mark and start taking some of these mounts and get some of these wins. He's already got one on the meet so far, so he's already got the monkey off his back. So I think you're going to see a few more as we come through. He's been a solid jockey up in New York. I also like the 6. Listen, looking at prices here, Rambling Wreck is probably the only closer in this race, in a race that I think is going to be won by forward speed. So am I putting the closer on here? Maybe the speed doesn't hold on. There's nobody here that has true lightning fast speed that I think can dictate or slow down or lone speed on the front that can run away with it. So I want to put a closer in there. Tyler Gaffleone, always with Danny Gargan. I love the team up here. 1-for-1 so far in the meet. 100% teaming up, but they've teamed up before in the past. The workouts are great too. 48 for 4 furlongs on the turf. That was going back on December 16th, and then 48-1 on December 27th. Most recently, that one on dirt. So I just think that's going to bode well for the horses. And I also like the 10 Navy SEAL, 3 really strong speed figures coming in. All those races on turf. Prior to that, overseas and one muddy kind of a Canterbury run where it came in third. But the form is good. Ran the Nashville Derby, did finish 5th, did have the lead in that race, was contending early, just fell apart late. So this is one that if it does get out there, it's one of the few that have speed to go to the front. maybe Johnny V sets out there. He likes to go to the front and sit. This is for Wesley Ward. The workouts are pedestrian good on December 16th, but pedestrian on best. Since the last race, maybe you want to go ahead and bump up that 5 furlongs in a minute and 3 on the turf back on December 6th as a top workout since it's last race. But even if you rate it at that, it sits well. And then there's a few other here that are going to be really, really tough. There's a new gelding on here. There's a couple other that have some decent speed figures that you want to watch out for, but you can't bet them all. So I'm just going to take a stab. Probably the toughest race on the card for me. 3, 1, 10.
Yeah, I had troubles with this race as well. I've got a couple horses. The one I leaned on the most, and it's probably going to be at a decent price, I don't know what it is yet, is the 7. The man up front. This is Michael Yates and Miguel Vasquez teaming up. They've only teamed up, 3 times in the last 2 months here, but hit the board at least in one of the starts that they had together. But I have seen them team up prior, and I have seen them win races. The one thing I like about this horse is it does the same thing every single time. It does go out to the lead. It does get the lead. Doesn't matter how fast they have to go, they will go it. I think they're going to do the same thing here. I think Miguel Vasquez is going to go out, and he's going to try to steal this race. And like you said, when the rail's out like that, you definitely want to lean a little bit more on the speed aspect of the race. And yeah, this horse isn't running in crazy stakes races or big fields, but they're right there every single time. The only thing is they just run out of gas a little bit late. So I'm hoping that they're able to nurse the speed up front and just let this horse go, get a little bit of an easy trip up front, and then hopefully pull away, easily down the stretch, but I mean, this horse has ridden in a lot of races and they all fit the condition pretty well. So I want to see this horse go out and break consistently like they always do, go out to the front and just try to run away. So I'm going to take a swing with the 7. Like I said, I just like what I'm seeing, and it's more consistent than a lot of horses that I see in this race. I had the one under. What's that?
20 to 1.
20 to 1, Jesus.
20 to 1. But I will tell you, out of all the horses that I'd mentioned here, this is the one that truly does go to the front. This is the one that does set the fractions and go out early.
Right.
I have the big question mark on it on my form because this maybe is the one that can get out there, set some fractions, and not be able to catch if it's on the front.
Right.
I don't see anybody really pressing him as well. So interesting call on that one. And I think it's a great price play because this could be a race that's blown up wide open in this pick 5 sequence.
Yeah, I thought this was the most wide open race of all of them.
Agreed.
I thought there was a lot of talent in here. Maybe just even a win place show if you don't want to bet on top might be worth your while. But I've got the 1 underneath. I think Thornberry, like you said, it's Dylan Davis with Bill Mott. Again, another horse that just hasn't really shown the true capabilities, I don't think. But that last start kind of is a nice indicator of how resilient that they are, right? They broke 5th, and then they were about 4.5 off. Dropped all the way to 6.5 off, and then were able to come down and win the race, right? So the horse wasn't discouraged by falling back or losing a couple spots. It got shuffled a little bit early, but it was able to, turn on the jets and close a lot of ground pretty late, actually, into the race. So, it's something to see, something nice to see. Obviously, that was at Kentucky Downs, so I mean, it's hard to take a ton of stock into that race because it's Kentucky Downs, and pretty much anybody could race there and win just due to how the course is. But obviously, that's how you break your maiden. I think it's pretty impressive. And like you said, Dylan Davis, he's got one on the card already, but I think, he's coming out to Gulfstream to prove a point and just kind of prove a point to himself as well and run with, the best, colony there is right now during the winter. So I think he's going to have a very successful winter. He did very well, obviously, the New York tracks, but I think he's got something to prove a little bit coming out to Florida. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him riding very, very hard this Saturday here just to get on the board and get going. So I like Dylan Davis there. I have the 2, Mount Horeb, underneath. I think Irad riding on this one. Again, a horse that's proven very consistent speed figures, not running in the craziest of races, right? They went to an allowance race last time out and just barely lost and still finished 4th, which shows you how competitive that race really was. You got Axel Concepcion aboard, and now you're getting, in my opinion, a step up in jockey because obviously the veteran status that Irad holds. He's going to give this horse a little bit more of an edge, I think, and he's going to be able to push this horse a little bit harder and I think get, very very close to winning, if not winning the race. I think this horse has got a lot of talent, and I think if you go watch that last race, I think it was impressive. I think you should take a look and Definitely a talented horse to have on your card. And then the very last one I had, and that's how I know it's a little bit harder when I have a couple horses underneath like that. The 6, like you said, from a closing angle, I wanted to take the speed on the front, and I wanted a closer underneath, just in case I miss on the speed. And that's Tyler teaming up with Danny Gargan. Danny Gargan's got some very, very good stats. Pretty much across the board. Tyler and him teamed up already at a price, and I got the job done here in the last 2 months in Florida. But this horse is very consistent as well, right? It does not break well. It does not go to the front.
Yep.
It's mid pack, even further back than mid pack, and it closes every single time. They just haven't found the success since breaking their maiden first time out. They just have not found the winning formula yet. But Tyler, the way he's riding on turf races here right now in Gulfstream, I'm not surprised if this horse wins and just draws off, because he just knows when to pull the trigger, and he's riding very, very well right now. So, I mean, the last 3 races, this horse has lost by a combined probably half length, if that. I wouldn't even say a quarter length,
Yeah.
if you add them all together. So I think it's very impressive. I think this horse is definitely the closer, definitely the one to watch late in the race, because they will be making their move. And if I know anything about Tyler, if he tips off that rail, which he'll probably be sitting, if he tips off the rail and has open space, he's going to be hard to beat. So I have the 6 on the card as well. I think it's a very good race for them. I should have probably taken him on top now that I see that price of 20 to 1.
We can always jump it up in a race like this.
But 7 with the 1, 2, 6 is what I have right now.
Danny Gargan, 8 starts in the last 30 days, 25% win, 2 wins, 2 places, $3.22 on $2 return. His horses are definitely firing. Danny's got things going right in his barn right now, especially when it comes to at Gulfstream. So, if I had to tell you that out of the 3 horses that you gave me there, the last 3 that you gave me, that one of them was 20 to 1 as well, which one would you think it would be?
Probably the 1.
Yeah, it's the 1. Yeah. So your top 2, 20 to 1 and 20 to 1. But this is a race that's very it's kind of baffling from the race setup and perspective. And I think when we're talking about that, you're talking about extended rail, braking is key and important, and has been. I've yet to see speed breakdown, but if that happens, then you're right. Tyler's probably the best horse that's able to be consistent to gobble up ground late and run down your speed. We're going to see. That's probably going to be the most favorite race for me to watch of the day, seeing where things fall out there. If you're going on the horizontals, spread as deep as you can in that race, in my opinion. And of course, Chalk will probably win, so no big deal. Let's go to the 10th race. It's a mile. It's the 9-grade stakes. 165,000 Mucho Macho Man, purse of 165,000 for 3-year-olds. Again, I don't know if I really want to go out on a limb and say lock of the day, but guns loaded in this race from the rail position, the 1. It makes the most sense here. Obviously, out of gun runner. 2 races, a maiden 100,000 and 120,000. Just missed at first asking by 5 lengths at Saratoga. It's a tough place to win on debut at all, but an 86 speed figure gets it. What I always say, you're going to get an improve off your first race no matter what. Improves at 86, which is tough to do, with a 98 winning its maiden second time out in a field of 12. So a big, large field coming from an outside post position for 6 furlongs. Now you're stretching out and you're going a mile here. That was at 120,000, and now you're going into a 9-graded stakes race. It's a bump up in class, but this is a horse that can definitely do it. It can definitely set the pace. Love Louis on the front end. Louis had a lot of options in this race for a lot of other horses that he could have taken the mount on. Just in particular, the 2 and the 3. If you want, you ain't got to go any farther down the form to actually take a look at other horses. You get an opportunity to be able to get the mount on. He knows where his bread is buttered. This horse is probably the best horse in the race. Workouts are fantastic. Jose D'Angelo's got himself a monster here that I think is going to do well as we're moving further down in these 3-year-old races for the course of 2025. So 1's going to be the favorite, which it should be, and I like the 1 on top, so I am going to take the 1. It's not going to be my lock, though, but I do like the 1. I think the 3 also for Irad Ortiz and Jose D'Angelo, so his second other monster that he has. This is another opportunity. McKellen, 2 route races, an 84 and an 88 improvement speed figure after breaking its maiden on debut. So, and then losing second last time out with Luis Saez. But as a workout of 59 and 1 for 5 furlongs coming in, that wasn't a muddy track. Maybe there's a difference there from off track and fast track, which is the better between the 2. Maybe the 3 does like a little off track a little better, but he sure does run really bang up races on these firm or these fast tracks as well as muddy. So out of McKinsey, I really think that the three with Jose, with I mean, it's always tough when you're talking about every horse that I read is always a threat to win because he is such a good jockey. But in this case, I'm going to give Saez the nod. I know you're giving me the eyeball there, kid. He is a good jockey. I don't discredit him that he's able to do what he does. But when you have that many races, you're expected to win every race, and that's just impossible. So that's what dampers him, and that's why people get pissed off that he loses on favorites because he just can't win every race, even when it makes the most sense on paper. All right, so 1 and 3 are my top two, one being the top. The 4 Treaty of Rome, interesting. I like the workout coming in. It's a gate work. There was a 48-4 on December 27th for 4 furlongs. And then, of course, there's another one just breaking its maiden. You're going to get a lot of small sample sizes here. But Dylan Davis for Chad Brown, I like the connection, especially down. Tyler's been getting a lot of the Chad Brown mounts down in Jose, and been getting a lot of the mounts down in Gulfstream Park. So now you're going to see maybe Dylan picking up a few of these for that connection that works out in New York. Chad's going to be getting some opportunity. And I like Treaty of Rome. This is another one that could be 4 the place or just sit off, hoping that he just sits off quite a bit. And then the 8, Miggy Vasquez for Naughty Rascal. This is one that is going to be coming kind of mid-pack, probably sitting more 4th and 5th, which I think is also a good option. If you go 2 back and scratch out that turf race, everything else has been in a stalking position. 2 back-to-back wins, won a 45,000 state bred maiden race, then a 95,000 non-graded stakes race, then another 95,000 non-graded stakes race that came in 3rd, and then 2nd in the inaugural 125,000 non-graded stakes race. So his running against some decent horses on some good class, has some great workouts. The horse is fit, and I just like a horse that's coming in from a speed figure of 96 and losing, and probably going to improve off that last race of 6 furlongs. I like the route. I think it's going to actually be a little bit better going the mile. So tough race, very short sample size. A lot of these horses, but I'm going to go 1, 3, 4, 8.
Yeah, I went 8 on top here in this race. Like you said, coming out of a race and running your best speed figure and just losing just tells me that, against this field, if you run a similar race and you go out there and you just you do what you did last time, you don't get crazy, you don't try to go out there and press. I think you're going to have some success in this field. And Gerald Bennett and Miguel Vasquez are, 1 for 2 at this point. So, but hitting the board, both races that they ran. But in 2025, there's some good stats for both of them here. I think they're both on a kind of a hot streak right now. They're running very well. I think that this horse is going to be very patient. I think there is some speed in here. There's kind of a lot of speed, actually, if you look at the race, that might go out there and just burn each other out. I think they might go out there and just try to go. And at Gulfstream, yeah, you want to be in the front, but if you're on the front with 2 or 3 other people, or 2 or 3 other horses, it's not going to bode well for either of you. So I like where they're sitting here. I like a stalking trip, and then I like them closing down the stretch, and I hope they run somewhere close to the same 96 speed figure, because if that's so, we're looking at a nice little payout there real quick. So I've got them on top. I've got the 8 on top. The 1 makes a ton of sense, right? I mean, the horse ran a very, very impressive race last time out. They went to the front. They ran a 21, followed up with a 44, 57, and finished off with a 109, kind of geared down, won it pretty easily. Jose D'Angelo and Saez also have some very good statistics here in the last 2 months, winning at a 42% clip, hitting the board 75% of the time. Saez, you know what you got with Saez. He's going to go out there and he's going to do his thing every single time. So you're not saying anything against the jockey here. He's going to do everything he's going to do. I've got the 1. It makes a ton of sense. He's going to be the favorite. It makes the most sense here, I think. And then the 6 as well, like you mentioned. Chad Brown teaming up with Tyler Gaffleone here in this spot, taking over the training, first time after the claim. But this horse is back-to-back winners. Obviously they're in kind of the upper East Coast there. But the distance is not going to be an issue for this horse. It's the first time trying to route, and Chad's got very good stats doing so. This horse is also going to be very, stalking, and they're going to be sitting off the pace, and they're going to try to go and pull down the stretch. I don't know if this horse has got enough to win the race, but I definitely like their chances of hitting the board a lot. Just seeing how that stalking way, could also, bode well for them and put them in the, 2nd or 3rd place here for this race. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing there. 8 with the 1-6 is where I landed, but this is a tough race, but just due to the speed, that's why I landed on a stalking or, a stalking trip rather than the front runner with the 1. I was
Yeah.
kind of back and forth.
The 6 Septarian actually has a better speed figure and just overall race time versus it's the better of the Chad Brown horses. Obviously, that's why probably Tyler's on it over Dylan in this race. But yeah, I could definitely see Septarian hitting the board. That's a very well possibility. You get in such small sample sizes in a lot of these races here, but it's distance. Who's going to set who's going to get the right trip? So maybe it does come down to the jockey in this race. Maybe that's the angle you have to go more off of, because you got some top trainers here with some top jockeys. It's going to be a very tough race, pretty competitive here. So, as we said before, what makes sense the most in these races usually doesn't happen. So, I'd still think the favorite has the better opportunity here, but I would still spread a little deeper if I was doing a horizontal in this race.
So. Yeah, when I'm looking at races like this, I like a horse that's going to go to the front, and you don't have to worry about the elements, or you don't have to worry about the trip. You're going to go to the front and run. The only thing that scares me is you got a couple of horses, like I said, that just go out there, and being as lightly raced as they are, I don't want this horse to burn out early, and just because it's only got one way of winning, that's the only thing that scares me. Like the 7's going to go out there and run, it's going to go out there. Obviously the 5 with David Egan, they've shown that they can go out to the front. They might not break first, but they can go out to the front. The 4 can go out to the front. There's so many horses. The 2's going to go out to the front. There's so many horses that want to get the lead. That it just makes you think
Rolando
try to go out there.
Rolando gets the lead the easiest, right? It's just natural progression for this horse, the way the horse breaks. Cool Intentions would really have to hustle up a little more earlier and use a little more horse to get the lead, but can be sitting there stalking. So I don't think you'll see the 5 on the lead. Doesn't mean, though, that you can't teach a young horse new tricks, because they are trying to work some speed back into this horse if you're looking at the workouts here, and get some distance on it. So I don't think the 5's going to go the front, but the natural ability in some of these horses, like the 2 Macho Music, that's a natural gate breaking speed figure, should go right to the front. It should be right along with Rolando, should be right next to him, battling for the lead. If it's not 2-7 in the early first quarter, then then it's anybody's game. But those 2 make the most sense, and everybody else is going to want to set the pocket trip, and make sure they get cover and be able to make their run on the turn in the top of the stretch. So maybe this is one of those who do you like here races that Pete will call, because it should be a flurry of horses all coming and trying to do the same thing.
I was going to say, I see like a race where you've got, how many horses are in this race? 9 horses, nine or maybe 7 across, trying to get the lead. The horses that are in the front are dying down, and the horses that are closing or stalking are right there.
5, 6 coming fast. Charge of the Light Brigade.
Yeah, there's so many horses I think that have the talent in this race that could do it, but it all depends on who's going to get the lead and who's going to go. So if nobody goes with that 1, see you later. But if they do, it might be interesting down the stretch.
There you go. 1, 2, 7. That's your speed on top. See if it holds. We'll find out. Mucho Macho Man looks to be the best race so far of the day. But let's get to the 11th race. 11th race is the mile on the turf. It's the 165,000 Ginger Brew for fillies that are 3 years old for a purse of $165,000. Another tough race. It's just the female version of what we just went through.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. If I have to take a leg and make a stretch, again, like I said, this is no news. I'm taking the favorite again. It's Nitrogen with Jose Ortiz and Mark Casse. It's the 10 horse. Workout's phenomenal coming in. Class unbelievable. Back in September at Woodbine, coming in 3rd in the Grade 1, and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Phillies Turf 3rd after being 11th and out of it completely. Gobbled up a lot of ground late at a high price and ran against some very high class in that race to finish only 2 lengths off in the win with Jose. Jose's got the mount here. Horse has been off for a little period of time, but I will tell you that the workouts coming in really sold me on this. December 4th, 59-1, and then a nice easy 5 furlongs and 101 flat on December 19th. Book it. Probably from a workout perspective, if I was an owner or trainer here, I'm sitting ideally where I want, not only in the race setup, the time off that I've had, and the workouts coming in. So all these check boxes get notched for Nitrogen in this race for me. So definitely going to put that on top. Underneath, again, in no specific order, the two Love Servier ground saving trip. This could be a ground saving trip here for Tyler. Last time out, sprint race on the turf. We're going to extend that out. Won that. It was a 90,000. That one also was for 85 speed figure. 85 speed figure, going to improve on that. Like, I would just, second time out, you got to improve. I can't see how you're not going to improve from that race with an 85 speed figure. And even if it ran 85, it already blows off half the field in this race. So I like the ground saving trip that he should get here that Tyler gets for Christophe Clement. Haven't heard a lot from Christophe lately, so maybe usually this Gulfstream meet we start to pick up a lot more from the Clement stable. So we'll see how that goes. But I do like the two underneath. I also like the 7 Special Aviator. Again, two races, 65,000 maiden race, and then a non-graded 95,000 handicap. Both of those at Gulfstream Park, winning both of those at a route over the surface. So I like that kind of homeschool. And then I also like the 8 Savetta. Added distance is a huge plus for this horse. Irad Ortiz, Brendan Walsh. I think adding on the additional, half furlong to a furlong in these races that he's been running at 6 and 7, 7.5. Add on a little more distance, even better. Been very competitive in the grade 3 in the Matron. Just missing here by a neck to a strong horse at an 89 speed figure. That was its career best. I would say it's a step back last time out on November 28th, but an 83 speed figure at 115,000 non-graded stakes race. Winning that race as the odds-on favorite. Should be a competitor and a player in this race as well. So I'm still going to go with the 10 on top. I think it is the best horse overall with the 2, 7, and 8.
The 10 makes the most sense here. I had the 10 as well. Back-to-back grade 1 efforts and, did two totally different things, right? They went out to the lead in one of them and then they stalked and held off and ended up getting beat. Just couldn't get the head down fast enough in that race. So 2 different tactics, but similar results, just missing the winner's circle. So I think this is definitely a drop in class that's significant enough where they get to show this horse true ability and I think get into the winner's circle, right? So I like the 10, like you said. I mean, everything points to the 10 for me. I think it'd be crazy to leave this horse off. Also, Jose's leaving Fairgrounds right now to come here to Gulfstream. I was trying to figure out which races he was going to win, and this makes the most sense than coming out here and winning on a race, winning on a horse that he's ridden before in a big spot. So I like what I'm seeing there. I have the 4 on my card as well. Jorge Ruiz teaming up with Graham Motion. I like this horse just from the simple fact that they also have ridden in the big races as well and have come very close. And then, in the grade 1 effort in the Breeders' Cup, wasn't really their best effort, but again, ran the same race and ran up against the monsters in that one. So I kind of draw a little bit of a line through that race. I just like the fact that this horse is capable of running in a race like that. But if you look at the 2 races prior to it, they're going to sit in the stalking fashion, right? They're not going to try to be too far off. Grand Motion with Jorge Ruiz is actually a little bit of an angle when they team up at some of these off tracks in some cases, or if you see them at Tampa. I'm a big fan of it. I think that they can do some damage. But I think that this horse is capable of picking up some of the second and third place money here in this race. I think that they've got a good horse. I don't think they have the best horse in this race, but I think they have a good horse that will be trying hard late down the stretch. So more of an underneath play, definitely not a winner for me, but underneath for sure. And then the other one that I had is the 8. I wanted to go in my head because it's just, I don't know, it's an Irad exacta, but like a 10-8 straight, I thought it was going to be something that I like passed my mind. I still, might think about playing that, but again, a horse that's shown very, very capable strides to winning races, right? Flavian Pratt was aboard at Aqueduct in the grade 2, just missed, by a neck, but was right there. Could be very easily coming off of 2 straight. Could also be very easily coming off of 4 straight. This horse is right there every single time. They were tested every step of the way. A very resilient horse. They dropped down in class. You get Irad aboard at Gulfstream last time out, and they dropped down from a grade 3 to 115,000 race, and they got the job done. Albeit it was very close, I think closer than it should have been. but sometimes it
Mhm.
takes a little bit more effort to get this horse back in the winning ways, and I think that's exactly what IRAD did. They also reserved, and they probably saved a little bit of horse down the stretch. So I think it was a good. I think it was a good play. I think that the stretch out here in distance is also going to be very well for this horse. They're going to be able to do exactly what they did last time, but they're going to be able to pull away, I think, a little bit if they get the perfect trip, right? So, yeah, I like what I'm seeing out of the 8. So, like I said, I was really contemplating just going 10-8 straight, but then I also like just the efforts that I've seen in previous races out of Graham Motion's horse in the 4. So that's where I went 10 with the 4-8 for my last race. But I think
Yeah.
10 makes the most sense here and is probably going to be a very, very short price.
I thought the same thing. I thought 10-8 exactly made the most sense. Like 10-8, Jose and Irad finishing up the last race. Your
Yeah.
8, Savetta, the one you just talked about a moment ago here, the last time out winning that race, ran against the 11 winning streak and just beating that horse out. Both of them were moving late, and
Yeah.
Irad just got the jump in that race. Something to consider when you're looking at any extended verticals and tries and supers at this 11. Also in that same race coming out, also ran a bang up race. Could be a competitor also if you're looking at that closing angle. So I think that's
Right.
important to mention. So yeah, and I think so scratches are out. So I'm just gonna, while we're on the phone here, I am gonna go through the scratches for the card we just went through, see if anybody scratched that we had picked. 7th race. Let's go ahead and start this back up. I guess we'll do a recap and then we'll just make sure that everybody is in play. 7th race, the 10 got scratched in that race, and neither of us had picked the 10 in that race. Then the 11th race, or sorry, 8th race. 8th race, 5 is scratched. Loud applause is scratched, so don't have that one either. So far, we're scratch free, which is kind of rare when we do these. Next race, the 8 is scratched. The 14 and 15. Fredo draws in on race 9 with Joe Bravo for Antonio Sano. I do like that horse in the underplay, so that's an also eligible that's actually getting in on that race. So something to pay attention to. 10th race, scratch the 7 and scratch your top pick, kid. Naughty Rascal is getting scratched in that race.
Perfect. Put the 6 on top instead.
So we're putting the 6 on top for you.
That's Tyler's, right?
So let me go back here. So that's the race with Guns Loaded that we talked about. Naughty Rascal was the Miggy Vasquez horse for Joe Bennett.
Gotcha.
Yep, this is the one that you liked if you scratch out the 2 back on the turf. So Tyler is the 6. That is your top pick now.
Yeah. Yep.
So you like the 6 and the 1. That I guess that'd be your top pick. We both lose the 8. It was my 4th choice. It was your top choice. And then the last race of the day, race 11. Lots of scratches in this race. The 1 is scratched. The 5 is scratched. Oh, I guess that's it. And then the also eligible. Everything else plays. So our 10, your 4, and your 8. My 7, 2, and 8 still riding in those races. So didn't get the scratch bug this week. That's good. Everything stays as is. That's going to be it. That's your late pick 5. That is your races for today at Gulfstream Park. Not Saturday, because today is Saturday. It's Saturday morning. I got shit to do. You got shit to do. Let's get it done. Watch these races. Do it again next week. Anything else? Any words of wisdoms before we close it out?
No. Nope.
Prop plays for the week. Anything in your NFL card that you're really eyeing on?
I don't know. I'm not falling into the trick of betting all these guys with bonus incentives. I would say word to the wise, even though that they've got their bonus incentives, doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna pan out. Like Mike Evans needs 2 touchdowns and 80 yards or 5 catches or something like that for
Yeah, that's a stretch.
$5 million. It's like, I don't know.
You go with the ones that make more. I think you go with the ones that make sense that are already in the game flow play. Like I think Derrick Henry getting a touchdown.
If he plays, are they playing for anything?
I don't even know. If he plays one first quarter, he's just gonna get the ball.
I thought he got all his bonus incentives already.
I think he's 1 touchdown shy.
Hmm.
And then there's games that don't matter, right? That maybe those are the ones. Maybe those are the ones. Maybe the guys that are in play for playoffs. Maybe those are the ones you don't want to touch. I don't know.
Yeah.
I go with the ones that just make sense with the game flow if they're going to play how it should go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, I just have fallen into the trap of betting all these. Oh, he needs 5 more catches, or oh, he needs a touchdown, and then it's just DraftKings burning up your money for you. So
I like the notification that, hey, just this guy needs 120 yards for an extra $750,000.
Yeah.
Like, that's good to know. It doesn't mean he's going to get the ball.
No.
Or he's going to play. So yeah.
Yep, that's all I got though.
Okay. All right. Well, other than that, for myself and the kids till next week. Thanks everybody for listening, and check us out next week.